Ajit Menon has over 2.5 decades of experience across some of the biggest names in financial services, including Tata Asset Management, DSP BlackRock, Axis Mutual Fund, and he's still serving as the CEO of PGIM India Mutual Fund. He's put in his papers. What's really the trigger for you? I mean, why at 55? I mean, this is when you're peaking in your career.
I had a plan and I'm just sticking to the plan. You know what? I'm saying this in audiences, but am I following my own talk? When it's your own money, you might end up sometimes taking the wrong decision. You know, it's like when they say doctors are actually not allowed to operate on their own family members, right? I must follow my own talk. And so about 14 or 15 years ago, I sat down with my advisor and made a plan. And you know, parts of that was my 2 children, and my wife wanted to do something for our caretaker. She's been with us since the kids were born. She said when she gets old, I want to give her a pension. So, you know, the kind of goals that we discussed, retirement being one of them. As a philosophy, it's about what makes you happy. And everybody can be happy. The problem is if you want to be happier. Everybody has a plan until you're punched in the face.
I know,
Then you just go swinging. You know, you're thinking obviously of your children's education, their marriage, buying a house, buying a car, you know, starting a business, your retirement, and so many other things. Think about it, and you have a loan for everything. Education loan if you're falling short, home loan if you're falling short, car loan if you're falling short, you know, so on and so forth. Personal loans for whatever. Retirement, there's no loan. If you move your parents in with you, they're likely to die faster.
Is it?
Can you think about it?
Welcome back to ReFirement Talks. Today's guest is someone who has not only led from the front in India's financial services industry, but he has also helped shift the very narrative around retirement in this country. Ajit Menon has over 2.5 decades of experience across some of the biggest names in financial services, including Tata Asset Management, DSP BlackRock, Axis Mutual Fund, and he's still serving as the CEO of PGIM India Mutual Fund. He's put in his papers. But beyond the business, numbers, and leadership roles, what stands out is Ajit's deep curiosity about people, behavior, and transitions. Under his leadership, PGIM India published one of the most thoughtful and eye-opening reports on retirement readiness in India, challenging many long-held assumptions and introducing powerful ideas like gig-style retirement and behavioral blind spots. And now, at 55, Ajit is stepping into his own new chapter, choosing to retire from the corporate world on his own terms. In today's conversation, we go behind the scenes of that decision, explore what the data has taught him, and talk about what it means to retire with purpose, with clarity, and with eyes wide open. Ajit, welcome to ReFirement Talks. It's truly such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
So what's really the trigger for you? I mean, why at 55? I mean, this is when you're peaking in your career, right?
Right. Well, you know, I don't think that there was any specific trigger or so to speak about, other than the fact that I had a plan and I'm just sticking to the plan.
I see.
So, you know, given that, you know, out of my 31-year career, 26 of that has been or more has been just with mutual funds. And I've been always a passionate retail, a sort of salesperson and marketing person. I've had the opportunity to meet so many customers and advisors across India, across all of the states in India, wherever I've traveled all through my career, that, you know, you realize that as you're talking to these audiences, you listen to their questions, their anxieties, their problems, their challenges, and you look at what your community of advisors and you would like to advise them to say that, listen, you just need to be more planned and more disciplined and, you know, put down your goals and that's the best way to approach it. At some point, I think 14 or 15 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm saying this in audiences, but am I following my own talk, right? And, you know, while, yes, I'm part of the financial services industry and it seems like I should know what to do and how to do it.
Correct.
I think I find myself lucky to have been a little bit of a student of, you know, psychology and behavior science to say that when it's your own money, you might end up sometimes taking the wrong decision. You know, it's like when they say doctors are actually not allowed to operate on their own family members, right?
Yeah.
That there's a
Blindsided.
reason for it, that you are too emotionally invested when you are planning to operate on your daughter or your wife or your son or your husband or whatever that you. And I think the other aspect of, therefore, for money, it's pretty much the same, is that, I don't think you should operate it yourself.
Okay.
And it's best to have an expert who has an objective view of it. And those are the advantages of having an advisor. And since I was recommending this to people, I said, I must follow my own talk. And so about 14 or 15 years ago, I sat down with my advisor and made a plan. And parts of that was my 2 children. And my wife wanted to do something for our caretaker. She's been with us since the kids were born. She said, when she gets old, I want to give her a pension. So, the kind of goals that we discussed, retirement being one of them.
Okay.
And obviously, my financial advisor's question was, okay, so when do you want to retire? And 14 or 15 years ago, I just picked an age. And I said, maybe at 55.
Oh.
Right? And I turned 55 next March. Okay. But as long as my advisor gave me a thumbs up to say, you're on track ready. And you're there, I decided to bail and say that, well, I'm going to still be very engaged with the industry, with the retail and retirement areas and things like that, with PGIM, the company that I'm with, continue helping them, supporting them and others. Yeah. That's not going to stop, but at least I can, I'll have the flexibility of time to explore more areas that I want to use my skills at. So I would say that it was just the plan, and I'm just sticking to it.
Okay.
And also making way for a new leadership to, take the business ahead. And I think that's also an objective that I've kept earlier, because I've had fantastic bosses who taught me the same thing. I was fortunate. And you recognize talent and you let them, also grow, as long as you are pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe to conclude, I would probably say that, when my family asked about it, when my daughter asked about it, and, I was telling her that as a philosophy, it's about what makes you happy. And everybody can be happy. The problem is if you want to be happier.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if you want to be happy at a financial level with your life, with your lifestyle and everything, you choose and you can be happy.
Yeah.
The problem always is if you want to be happier.
Interesting. Okay.
Because the moment you say happier, you're in a trap of happier than whom.
Yeah.
And you're always going to find something in the environment around you or on social media or something that's keeping on telling you that one, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, sometimes just having those personal philosophies, and I have my parents to thank for that, for sure, for, just making sure you're content. Difficult to do for a lot of people, probably, but I think it's just the perspective. So I would say, that sort of led me to the decision.
Fantastic. So like how they say, enough is not a number, it's a mindset, right?
It's a mindset,
so when you've made up your mind that this is enough, then it's enough.
Probably.
Right? Fantastic.
Yes,
and really, it's interesting to see you walking the talk on planning a retirement and actually executing it. And these are examples that we'd like to tell our clients, right?
Yeah.
But how is it emotionally for you? Meaning, you've been a leader, you've been a mentor, you've led amazing things for the industry.
Yeah.
And retirement, of course, flexibility of time.
Of course.
You're a singer, I know, and you have other interests.
Yeah.
But how are you dealing with it emotionally?
Well, I think, sometimes you got to be counting your blessings and stuff. So I have a healthy family and a very large family, both on my side and my wife's side. So that's been a good comforting thing to have a very large, not just family, but also...
time pass is not a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And also a pretty reasonably large friend circle as well that you collect along the way and who resonates with your own thought process and things like that. So I think I'm fortunate about that. And I think that, like you said, I have these interests. I've always had them since I was a child in school or college, different interests. You don't get as much time to follow those. And it seems cliche to say, I have time to follow my passions and things like that. But I think it was more specific to say that, if I am really looking at the aspect of retail and I look at the aspect of retirement. Two areas. When I say retail, I'm talking about just regular customers, regular people who struggle with, the choices they need to make for investing and saving and all of those aspects. And this specific area of retirement as well. I just feel that I would be even more involved in it now and spend more time to focus on that. Because obviously as a senior, person in a company, you have so many other responsibilities that you're supposed to be taking care of. And those are important. And therefore you have to, allocate your time appropriately for that. Here, I think I will probably get more time as long as my retirement number, my financial advisor is comfortable and I'm comfortable to say, well, this works. Then it's about how can I now work a little bit more in these areas? Because, I've out of my 31 years, like I said, 26 years in the mutual fund industry. It's a 70 to 75 lakh crore industry now and growing at a fast pace.
Yes.
More than half of it is now equity investments, as Indians have taken to investing like never before, especially after COVID. We know all of these statistics in the papers. But if you look at the average age that an investor tends to stay put, it's still under 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
While as an industry, we want to build this awareness of long-term investing and things like that, right? So I do sometimes feel the frustration like everybody else to say, as an industry, we want to promote long-term investing, the benefits of long-term investing, the benefits of an organized, disciplined, professional service of fund managers and things like that. But the regular customer is still probably churning their asset or moving something around within a 3-year period. And they're not getting the benefit of that long-term investing. So in a way, I sometimes feel, well, we've all collectively failed, in making the kind of impact that we should.
Correct.
I don't think...
So it's not enough.
It's not enough. Yeah, and so I want to explore, what this time that I have now I can do with different people in building something around or designing solutions. I'm not aware what it is. I have sort of hazy sense of a lot of ideas, but I know that I will sort of focus down on them to sort of work on the community for this. And like I said, other interests and passions. I told my brother, who said the same thing to me, saying, you know what, I worked enough with my head. I want to work with my hands, right? And so we bought a plot of land a couple of years ago with friends, and we're building a little house there. And when we go there and we meet the community around the village and stuff, you realize they're so simple. Their needs are, we come from the city with all of these designs and things. And then you really see their struggles are of a completely different kind. Yeah. And to me, I think I've always been very close to nature. That's an advantage for me. When I say I want to use my head a little less and work more with my hands, I really want to get my hands dirty. So that's one objective that I want to do, but I want to focus that on the community around, and a couple of friends are discussing ideas on what to do there. My wife's an executive coach. She's one of the earliest master certified coaches in India by the ICF US. She now runs her own firm while she's been coaching CXOs across some of the largest industrial houses in India. She also runs a coach certification program for coaches, and she attracts people like me as students who want to transition into becoming, not just mentors, but actual executive coaches for senior people. So I'm going to become her student. She's excited about that. And so
roles.
am I. So we have some nice discussions around that as well. So enough and more to actually do.
You're busy.
I just need to sort of, I have the time to sort of just plan it a little better as we go along. Yeah. But I'm more excited and, exhilarated about the next phase. Lots to do.
Yes. I'm so excited to hear this, because one of the things that we say in ReFirement is, you say don't retire, but refire. We say don't start your retirement planning with a calculator. Start with a calendar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what is going to be the problem, right? What am I going to do with all the time? And once you know what your calendar is going to fill up, then
Yeah.
it's easier for the finances to fall in
Yeah.
place, right?
Yeah.
Because you know the lifestyle that you're
That's
going to live. You know what kind of expenses this is going to entail. The
Yeah.
financial plan will very easily fit in.
Right. That's true.
So
That's
the
true.
most advisors start at the wrong place is what is our discovery.
And it's it's good that you say that, because this is a subject that is probably either in the front of the mind or the back of the mind for almost everybody, right? It's a subject of what will I do in my retirement? Can I retire early for the younger ones? The ones who are retiring now are saying, do I have enough? And there is a lot of people in between who say, I don't think I have enough.
Yeah.
And some who says, I think I'll be dependent on my kids. Some who say, I don't want to be dependent on my kids. So there's so many emotions and so many anxieties that are associated with this. And you look at the area of retirement as it develops around the world, and it has evolved so much over the years. I think one area that gets missed is the mental health part of it.
Yes.
Right. So just as you say that, what's your calendar going to look like? It's really purpose.
Yeah.
What's going to be the purpose of your day and weeks and months and years? And you can have a couple of them. You don't have to have just one, which is going to work in making your company succeed or your practice succeed. You can have a couple of them, a few of them, if you so wish. So that purpose actually is what more recent research is basically saying keeps your mind active. And as long as your mind is purposeful, it has a direct positive impact on your physical health and body. Like we all know, we worry about the health aspects. I don't want to live long. I don't want to, live the last 5 years of my life lying in bed and, in the ICU or being dependent on diapers and that's a big worry, right? And well, the answer is right in front of you, right? So you need to do whatever you can to increase the probability of your health holding up.
Correct.
Right. So it is, as Peter Attia, one of the people that I like to follow, it's your health span, not your lifespan.
Yeah.
So we think in terms of calendar years. We think in terms of lifespan.
Outlive.
Yeah, it's outlived, right? So it's a great book. So it's a good recommendation from us for people to look at, and I'm sure a few people would have read it, but it's a great compilation of good insights that I found. But so health span along with lifespan. And so then when you think about it, it really includes, very importantly, the purpose that you will be involved with.
Right.
Sometimes you may have money. Let's say you have the money to retire and you're really not worried. But still, maybe just volunteering and putting yourself and your skills to use in some volunteering effort gives you purpose. And that has a direct correlation on your physical health.
Absolutely.
If those two things hold up, I think a lot of people will say, well, you know what, that's priority number one. Health is wealth. I'm taken care of. I don't want to be like that uncle or that neighbor or that friend I know who's really struggling with health in their 60s even or 80s or, and you want to be fit and fine with what you're doing. So I hope that gets us there.
Purpose, if you're waking up in the morning thinking I'm going to do this and that, you won't lie around, right? So that's the whole point, right? So that's a very pertinent statement that you're making. So now you have your retirement all planned out. Maybe hazy pictures, but largely there, right? You know the blocks that are going to work out.
You have to have a plan. You can't make the plan the hero.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, there's this really nice quote I came across, and it was from Mike Tyson, of all people. Yeah. And a journalist asked him as he was getting into the ring. He says, Mr. Tyson, what's your plan? What's your strategy for this bout, that you're having? And apparently Mike Tyson replied saying that everybody has a plan until you're punched in the face.
I know, yeah.
Then you just go swinging. So, you should have a plan. I mean, I can imagine couples having a plan and then going through a divorce. Where's the plan? Right? So anything can happen in your life. Life's really random. But I think that does not mean that you don't have a plan. It sort of helps with the anxiety bit, right? Yeah. A lot more. And I think that's important. The health piece that we spoke about is important. I do find that I'm also, when I say blessed about family and stuff, I married my college sweetheart, and we're still the best of friends. And I sometimes some of my colleagues, when they ask me this, I tell them that Well, one secret is you got to marry well.
Of course, yes.
Have a partner that has pretty much interests with you and
You're laughing
compliments you.
together at the same things.
At the
right?
same things, and the same stuff. You fight and you laugh and you do everything together. Have the same friends, enjoy the same things. And to me, I think that somewhere she's the one who kicks me on my butt if I'm not going to the gym with her.
Now she's
right?
going to be your teacher.
Yeah, she's going to be my teacher. So I better listen.
Yeah.
I'm a well-coached husband, so I hope I'll be a good coach student. Yeah. So just this fitness aspect of it, right? And I think the younger generation is far better at this than our generation or the older generation. They are far more conscious about health, and I'm so optimistic about this generation. A lot of people worry about this generation. I don't. I think they get it. They'll survive. They'll be better at it than us.
Yes. At least they don't want to do the mistakes we did, which with every generation does.
We'll make their mistakes, right? Every generation will have their own mistakes.
So good, great, super. So this in your personal journey and at work, you've done a fantastic report on retirement readiness in India, the 50 gigs. So these were like marquee things, useful for the industry as a whole that PGIM did.
Yes.
So were there any specific insights from the research that kind of helped you in your personal journey of planning?
The 50 gigs report that we did, and just for the audience, this was a report which is available on the PGIM website. We should put a link in your show notes as well, which we just sort of cataloged 50 different hobbies that people had monetized, had made money out of, right?
Like you from your clients?
Yeah, and not all from our clients. We had an agency work on it, look for people. And I think that there are two parts to it. One is that we all, for instance, know that during COVID, you'd know that neighbor who got into baking cakes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You knew the people who were online doing, adding up some skills or doing yoga or whatever else. So cooking and baking and, fitness and so many other things that happened. So I think what happened is that as PGIM, this is the prudential of the US, and we are PGIM here all across the world and in India. As PGIM, globally, we have this focus around, retirement and big pension managers and things like that. And we in India took up researching around retirement readiness in India. And one of the first reports, and we did 2 of them, we're doing the 3rd one this year. And I think what we realized when we did the first one and the second one, and we looked at who were the people telling us that they felt more retirement ready than the average Indian? They were people who were telling us that we have a secondary source of income. Okay. And there are 2 parts to the secondary source of income. There's a part that says, I have a secondary source of income from my financial assets or hard assets. Like I may be getting rent from a house or returns from an investment.
Correct.
But the more interesting part was the 36% people who said we felt more retirement ready because they were earning a second income from a second skill they had.
Wow.
And it didn't matter what they were earning, but they were earning. They could monetize it.
Yeah.
And that sort of told us this is a good insight to sort of, get in front of people to say, well, this could be a strategy for you to think. And the conclusion for us is that the anxiety that you have around this subject of retirement, for most people is about, will I have enough money?
Correct.
To live a long, healthy life and however long I live. And I need to take care of my responsibilities as well.
Right.
And I think that should be your secondary worry. The primary worry, when we looked at our research, was your risk is that you can earn just from one skill. Okay. So whatever is the job that you're doing, you're a techie, you're a financial professional, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer. You just have one skill that you can earn money off. And so the key really to get rid of anxieties in a sense, it's maybe easy for us to say, difficult for a lot of people to do, but there are people who do it and we know them, we know everybody around us, is that the risk is that you can earn money from just one skill. Do you have a second skill you can monetize?
Yeah.
Right? And so we bought out the 50 gigs report and we looked at 50 different hobbies that people had monetized, becoming a yoga instructor or a fitness instructor, taking care of pets, you know a language and you become a translator service by signing up for translation services. You have a great voice and you want to become a voiceover artist for so much content that people want to do in vernacular. So you know a home language advantage. And can you imagine that, therefore, if you're 80 years old, but you know a language, you could be doing a voiceover for an 80-year-old character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I get passive income because my voice is recorded in Tamil and people download it to use it for their education.
There you go. So you're an example, right?
Yeah, I'm an example. So there's passive income.
So I think the 50 gigs report is that, and it's about 50 different skills. And we talk about, maybe you need to have a certificate for something. Where will you get that certificate from? Okay. Oh, I want to be a yoga instructor. Sure, I like yoga. And oh, you want to get a yoga certificate from the Ayush ministry. This is how you do it. Here's the cost of it. Here's what you can think of earn, so on and so forth. Wow. Somebody's becoming an organic farming, balcony organic farmer or a proper organic farmer. Yeah. Somebody's becoming a financial advisor. Somebody is becoming a content
My husband wants to become a Uber driver.
Uber driver. Oh, fantastic. I mean, we don't have that as one of the 50 gigs because, sometimes we thought about it a lot and we said we wanted to make it 100. Yeah. We struggled a lot. We said, we'll stretch it to 100 by including all of this. Yeah. And I think we still will in maybe a second version. Sure. And then there are cultural nuances around what you can do, won't do and stuff. Yeah. But I just want people, I think people should just be thinking about this aspect. And you know what? All of us can teach. All of us can teach. Little bit of motivation, yes. Yeah. Maybe going back to your college or something to say, can I take workshops? Can I take, this? And they're struggling to get people to teach.
Yeah, from industry.
Yeah. And mostly in a household, the wife's, smart at 10 things, juggling stuff. She can teach, you can teach, students at home. You've got your mom or your mother-in-law great at making pickles. Try putting that out on ONDC and making, $1,000 and putting an SIP in her name. Right? Yeah. Just in your local community or whatever, use your flyers or whatever. I think it requires effort. So like I said, it's easy for us to say not, but it is a strategy. Yeah. It is the first part is the insight, the understanding that the risk is not about whether you have enough corpus.
Yes.
It's a secondary risk. Yes, it's a secondary thought. The primary thought is you can earn only from one skill. Do you have a second skill? And don't worry about how much you earn from that second skill at the start. Matter. That stops you. Yeah. You may earn just $5,000 a month. Yeah. And your last salary might have been 10 lakhs a month, 5 lakhs a month. Yeah. Don't worry, because the 10's going to become 50 and 60 in about 3 or 4 years, right? That's what happens because you get references, it keeps going along. Yeah. And you don't need to do it for too long. So you can supplement your corpuses, you can stretch those corpuses longer. It's never too late. But the key is, do you have a second skill that you can monetize?
Correct. No, that's fantastic because most people think traditionally you've been working somewhere and that's all that I know to do, right? Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years and there's nothing else for me to do or know. But going back and finding out what else you could potentially do. What if somebody has no skills at all? Maybe they could go and learn something, right?
Yeah. And in that learning space, actually, sometimes this is so annoying and scary and it itself gives anxiety that, what skill, and whatever. Yep. But in that learning space, your brain's really active, right? It's trying to learn a new thing. It's pushing the boundaries. It's keeping you healthy, by the way.
Yes.
It's just keeping you really healthy. It just has its own benefit. And I think you just go online, look for resources where you can put yourself out, do different gigs, things you liked, connect up with friends who have common interests and, do something together, help out startups, help out local communities, teach in the colleges but at all times, focus on earning money out of it. And it doesn't matter if you're earning 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, right? That I think is the bridge to cross.
Yes. I mean, fantastic ideas even come in my mind. I could become an MC or a commentator for a sports match or something like that, right? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good, great. I love all of these fantastic ideas and you've done great work on this with PGIM.
Yeah, and we continue at PGIM. I think now we have a certification for advisors around retirement readiness. We do the retirement research at PGIM. We have the planning to come up with a retirement index. It's a little more gamified for people to see where they are. So it's just that one area that we thought, and we had this idea that we should sort of dive deep in, because everybody talks about every goal. But this is, we sort of picked a goal which we thought is the most important one that people talk about and sort of dive in. But, let me say there was a trigger point for that. And the trigger point was in my meetings with advisors globally and talking to people who are retirement advisors and things like that, to realize this very simple fact that we know, but we haven't thought of it in this way, which is that of all the financial goals that you have, retirement is the only financial goal for which you don't get a loan.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The things like reverse mortgage in the Western world, in India as well, but not a great product that people can use effectively.
Yeah.
But, you're thinking obviously of your children's education, their marriage, buying a house, buying a car, starting a business, your retirement, and so many other things. Think about it, and you have a loan for everything. Education loan if you're falling short, home loan if you're falling short, car loan if you're falling short, so on and so forth. Personal loans for whatever. Retirement, there's no loan.
Yeah.
And I think that therefore, it needs to be prioritized. And since we don't as much of our research says that, we decided, let's dive in. So that's
because, it's interesting. A few years back, I was thinking retirees are probably not like a great segment to work with, because they're just going to be taking money out. The assets are not going to grow, and they're going to have a lot of time, and I may not have that much time to spend with them. So all of those things. But now my realization is different. We do want to work with retirees. I think the problem is very real. And there's alignment in the work that you do at PGIM.
Yes.
Why retirement? Why did you choose this niche of retirement? I hear that you also, from your previous jobs, chose to move on because the focus from retirement moved away from your earlier employers, right?
Yeah, I think, briefly, at a point in time it did, and then I moved on because I wanted to keep in touch with this. And PGIM and Prudential of the US, they are obviously one of the largest in the area of pension and retirement science, and they have PhDs in retirement sitting there. And I haven't even scratched the surface of taking some of those content and using it. And we are in touch. We get help. We get advice from our team back there. We want to focus obviously on the India challenges. So we said, first let's do a survey and figure out a trend over a few years. Before then we look at tools rather than jumping in straight with stuff. I think we're getting there with getting those insights, which are sometimes culturally different for India versus the Western world. So that was an area. Personal passion, of course, like I said, meeting advisors, realizing this, we don't prioritize retirement, but that's the only financial goal for which you don't get a loan and things like that. Sort of putting me in this path of saying it can be a great differentiator for our brand as well, which it is. And I wouldn't shy away from saying it is built to make sure that there is a mind share for PGIM, because we want to follow this area. We don't, we have our website's called Retire Mantra from PGIM. Our awareness website is called Money and Me, not PGIM, because I think we need to broad base financial wellness as a whole.
Yeah.
Rather than just think about, mutual funds are the answer to every problem. It's not. There's so many things when it comes to the area of retirement that you need to think about. And we hope to keep connecting the dots and helping people find more, answers and reduce their anxiety.
You were mentioning something very interesting while we were talking before the show about how we struggle with visualizing retirement, right? You can always see your children getting married or going to college, but seeing yourself as a retiree or as somebody who's 70 years and 80 years is probably a thought you want to keep away. You don't want to get there, or you struggle with it. What's that insight? Why don't you let us know?
Interesting. You're right. And there's a little bit of this that comes from our research. And a little bit that comes from my personal interest in keeping on pushing the boundaries around the subject to learn more and being curious about it and realizing that evolutionary biology and cognitive science plays a role in all of us human beings in the way we are wired to think about long-term stuff, right? So first, the research. One of the most interesting insights we had from the retirement research at PGIM was that people only invest for happy goals. It's a simple line. It's a very simple line. But when you think about it, you say, yes, children's education, children's marriage, house, car, travel, holiday, right? It's all happy. And retirement is not a happy goal for a lot of people. There are people who I'm sure is like, love it to bring it up, right? Yeah. But for a large set of people, probably not. Especially people who are in the salaried world. It's like, I don't want to see my boss's face tomorrow morning. I don't know when I'm going to get out of this, or, I think they're making me redundant. I'm anxious about all of that. People only invest for happy goals. So it's very important to make your retirement a happy goal.
Yes.
And there is now the brain science why we do what we do. And the brain science is that when we visualize something, right, our brain, so let's say, and just getting a little nerdy on this now, for, the neocortex, the rational brain, neocortex meaning new brain, right, is really doing all the analytical part for you. It's really involved in your self-preservation, right, so to think, and taking decisions, right? And you're telling this brain, us as an industry, think long term. You need this corpus inflation adjusted, and then another 30 years of your life. And now you're not telling the person, what do you think you're going to be doing when you're 85? You've never spoken about it. They've never thought of it, right? And there's a couple of reasons for it. One is that when you worry about retirement, you sort of think about old people who are struggling to climb up the staircase, and they have some diabetes or blood pressure. Your visuals are, it's not Fauja Singh running a marathon who tragic that
I know.
He had that accident. Tragic. But you're not thinking of Fauja Singh. You know what? I'm going to be like Fauja Singh. I'm going to running a marathon at 95. That's not the visual you have. You're not thinking of any visual. And now you're telling your brain, your neocortex, thinking of your self-preservation all the time, that you need to think about your 30-year-old, yourself 30 years from now or 40 years from now. That person is a stranger. And the part of the brain that deals with strangers is not your neocortex. It's your old, survival brain, the sort of reptilian brain, or whatever you call it, right? That's the brain that thinks of strangers. And the brain says that whatever you're asking me to do, save for this long term and things like that, it's not benefiting me, my current self. I'm only bothered about my current self. I'm the neocortex. I'm analyzing, and whatever action you're taking is not benefiting me. It's benefiting a stranger.
I'm not interested.
Correct. Or I'm not very disciplined to focus. You got to tie my hands and legs and lock up the money for me to do it.
Okay.
Right? And
that's why
therefore
the NPS works.
And that's why NPS works as a great strategy. That's why the PF is not something that you ignore. That's why annuities work as well.
Yes.
And we just look at these products and say, hey, low returns or this or that. But they all have a purpose.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
And so this is brain science, right? And so the hack for it is to think very vividly about how you think you're
activate
retired.
the reptilian mind, right?
Think about it like, me and my wife are going to run this marathon. We'll probably come last. We'll do this 5K marathon because we love sports and we love cycling or we love jogging or whatever it is. We're going to run this marathon at 85. I see my wife and I crossing the finish line like last, but everybody cheering us because we made it, right? For me, for instance, the image I sometimes think about is, and I have a presentation that I've done on this for clients and advisors. My image is dancing with my granddaughter at her wedding. Right?
Wow,
so it's like, okay,
good.
First I need a granddaughter. So I need to tell my kids that. But dancing with her at her wedding. So that's sometimes I think, okay, now you work backwards and say, if I need to do that, health is one, and then I last that long. And so I like this. I like this. This now becomes a happy goal.
Yeah.
You're only more likely to save for retirement if you have that as a happy picture. You're more likely. I'm not saying you're going to be 100% successful or whatever. I'm just saying increase the probability of your success is what you should aim for.
Okay.
You're never going to solve things 100% probably.
Yeah.
But I think it's your responsibility to increase the probability of success on all of this. And the answer is to really vividly visualize. It's called positive framing in a way.
Yeah.
And you increase that possibility for yourself and save and invest, because you've got these couple of happy pictures of what you will do when you're 80, what you will do when you're 95.
Yeah.
Just think about it and it'll help you.
Yeah. I was in a pickleball match tournament last week, only for seniors. So people who are over 45, over 60, and then the tournaments happening. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, tennis is tough. ET is super tough. Badminton is tough, right? But pickleball is easy. And, you see so many of them play so well. It's like the new golf,
But
a lot of people are networking there.
Across the world, And across the world. But I, what you say, prompts me on another aspect, which I probably not spoken about earlier as much, but it's an important part of research. And it's going to sound controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, bring it on.
And it's going to sound very odd for people to hear this. If you move your parents in with you, they're likely to die faster.
Is it?
Can you think about it? You know what we do as a culture, right? Our parents are getting older. They're finding it difficult to do X or Y.
Yeah.
You move them in with you. You're their kids. You're responsible. You move them in with you.
Yeah.
There's a high likelihood that they're going to die faster. You know why? Because you now treat them
like children
and pamper them like children. Dad, don't walk to the market. I will send my driver and car with you.
Correct.
Don't go. You're going to pick up the kids anyway. Well, don't struggle with a rick or, walking down. I will send my car with you. Why don't you do this? Or, I'll book an Uber for you. We have you don't worry. You don't have to get up to cook. We have the maid coming home. Of course, I'm talking of affluent houses and India is a lot more than just affluent houses. Community living is extremely important. And I will be the first one to also say that our own PGIM research suggests that people who come from joint families are less anxious about retirement and money than people who come from nuclear families.
Okay.
Right? It is joint families have a great advantage. Big group of uncles, cousins, and nephews, and whatever it is. Somebody's got my back.
Correct.
That's a feeling. So you're less anxious about things, right? That will you have a place to stay, eat, whatever. Nuclear families struggle with that aspect of it. And the lesson there is to have a big friend circle and a big family circle and keep in touch for a lot. But here's the flip side, right? That you pamper your parents and please pamper them by all means. Yeah. But the key for them is that they're physically active. Yeah. Physically active, not sitting in front of a chair and saying, oh, you know what, okay, it's okay, I'm not. Yeah. So when you say pickleball and, that it is for seniors and stuff, there is a segment of people who do that.
Yeah.
And I think there was probably a large segment of people who are aging too fast because they're in the comfort zone of everything being taken care of. Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling children to throw their parents out of their house or something like that to get them moving. But I'm just saying, be conscious.
Yeah.
Be aware.
No, I agree with
that. Physical movement is a big thing as you get older. Sarcopenia, muscles are aging. All of that happens, right? Yeah. Why do you want your parents to, be such that, then they're getting to that last 1-2 years in bed kind of situation? Yeah, yeah. So encourage as much as possible. Find those avenues. Encourage. Make it possible for physical activity in any little big ways that you can.
Give them some work.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it could be controversial, but there is something to it.
Thinking about it, what you say makes a lot of sense, right? As long as they are independent. I mean, with an aunt and uncle, the uncle passed away, and now the aunt is moving in with her. Moved in with her son like a year back, and she's just aged in that last 1 year. And she was in Kerala, right? So they have these large Tarawad houses and all that. They have these big gardens in the back, and she was just taking care of everything, and uncle as well. And uncle passed away, and then she moved to Bangalore to a little flat.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
And what you're saying makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm maybe exaggerating to make that point, but I think the point is of the physical part of staying engaged and staying in some active.
Also waking up with a sense of purpose, Ajit. Right? So
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, you're waking up saying, okay, the maid is going to come. I have to tend to my plants. I mean, there are, right? So now I just get up and breakfast is ready and I just go sit there and eat the food, right? Meaning that it's a whole world of difference.
So, when you go get your grandchildren from school, when you go to the market or you run around household chores, and so you feel you're active, and it's your duty, and all of that is fine. But you need to take time off for yourself to get that physical part taken care of. And I think kids think about their parents. My parents are independent, and I think that's a lot to do with the fact that they have to deal with all of the stuff themselves. The tap is leaking. Some tile is broken. The rainwater is coming in. The window is not shutting, and all of that. So I think as they get engaged with it, they just keep themselves active and, as you said, having a purpose.
Yes, that's great. So superb. I think this. It's been a very interesting conversation. I just want to close it with one sentence. I mean, something that you might want to share about what the industry, financial services industry, both of us are part of it. You mentioned that there's still a long way to go. What we've done is not enough at all. We're just scratching the surface, and especially on retirement, right? So we're saying in the next 10 years, crores of people are going to retire from
20% of India by the time you get to 2050, which will be about 35 or 36 crore people. Right now it's 10% and about 64 crore people. So I mean, about 10% of the India is beyond 60. So it's a large segment of people
who are going to be retiring, and like with all families becoming smaller and all of these challenges, there's just so much work for all of us to do. And you're choosing to step out at the wrong time. I hope you will stay around and But what would you say to the industry, to the financial service industry, or retirement as a solution for other industries as well?
Yeah, I think there are so many things here. I don't think I've organized my thoughts around it as yet fully, but I know that there are so many important things and lessons from. Take other countries, for instance, right? And I wish if I had if I think about it like, if I had a magic wand and I were to think about, what are the things that the country should do? We already know that we talk of this Atmanirbhar Bharat. We're so proud of it, and all of us rightly so. What is that responsibility? What is making a strong country for the future? You look at the other countries and you say they're struggling with pension. They're struggling with dependency ratios. They're struggling with the fact that there are less younger people, and the productivity and the money that the economy is generating, the government has to keep aside a lot more for managing the old people, right? And these most of them who are getting older, they're going to live for longer as well. So that support is big. And so the government borrowings and the government responsibilities of putting money away for this is very important. And while you also need to think about growing the country, the infrastructure, and a lot of the other things. So it's going to be a balancing act. So you want more independent older people, self-sufficient older people, healthier older people in the country.
Yes.
And I think, therefore, if you can keep that as that simple insight to say, sure, if India's future needs to be rock solid and bulletproof, we need to think about how India is going to age productively and healthily.
Yes.
Right? So everything that the government can do to encourage people to monetize their hobbies. So, today in the corporate world, if you went to a company and you said, okay, you know what, I'm going to teach guitar lessons in the evening. And maybe sometimes they may say, listen, your contract doesn't allow you to have a moonlighting job. I mean, not moonlighting, or some hobby that you can, earn an income from a second source. So I do think that corporate law should change to allow companies that if it does not have any conflict of interest with your job, you should be allowing employees to
pursue other things.
Other things and earn money from it, even if it's a little small stuff, right? Let them earn from it. And I think having laws for it and having policies for it in India earlier than anybody else would be good. You see France, you see other countries, you see them increasing the retirement age because they're finding that, old is not necessarily weak or unintelligent or incapable. In fact, there's huge wisdom and huge experience that you can leverage. You just got to find the areas to leverage it within companies. So having policies that can allow for this aging, I think in the country that would be great to sort of have policies, towards that. I'd say that when I think about advisors and distributors, and I think that sometimes we feel that when we think about products like NPS or when we think of products like PF or we think of insurance annuities, we tend to sort of not talk too much about them because we think, hey, the run rate is too low, right? It's better off that you're in a mutual fund and, for a longer term run rate and for the corpus. Imagine a household where, and let's assume a typical household where it's the man of the house who's sort of doing his investments or whatever. And it can be it can be the woman of the house or the man of the house. And they've put all their money in this open-ended mutual funds and, done their planning and all of that. And let's assume that the other spouse is not very financially savvy. For a moment, let's assume that because somebody's taking the responsibility. And one spouse who's doing all this work passes away. Feels that, oh, you know what, I've got money covered for my family.
Right.
Now, what's going to happen? Your brother, or your neighbors, your friends, some advisors going to come and say, hey, you know what? You can take this money and you can invest in this apartment or this commercial, you'll get a rent from there. You can buy some gold. You can do this. You can do that.
Absolutely. I agree.
It's open-ended.
So
You will redeem it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Imagine, what happens with an annuity? Locked up for life. It's a constant stream of money, locked up for life, guaranteed. Nobody can touch it. So I think that yes, the returns are lower. Yes, there are other strategies, but don't ignore the household's priorities and the risks that they may run. And so mixing the products that have features that help with that long-term cash flow is important to include in it as well.
Right.
And I hope, therefore, from a government's perspective, while SEBI has a retirement category, there's whole PFRDA and there's NPS. And PF and the other products, I think that it needs either under SEBI or PFRD or whoever, across the regulators, a thought around what more can we do to the design of these features and products.
Keeping how the families work in India as well.
That's right. That's right. So I'm hoping for all of these. When I look at the industry, I do think that we sort of think that mutual funds is the beginning and end of everything. It is good for a lot of things, right? But it needs other products and their features to go with it.
Yes.
And I also think, therefore, that as a country, when we think about our aging population, what can we do? What kind of corporate policies can we have to allow employees to have a second skill or give them, or the government giving subsidies if you're learning a second skill, right? They're already giving subsidies to hire interns. Right?
Like even
I think
startup
something similar.
funds, right?
Yeah, startup funds. So I think something similar, saying that, we will give you the subsidy if your, employees above 40 or 50 are being sponsored for a second skill to make them more relevant and productive for the economy, for themselves, for happiness, for health.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
It's amazing. Those are great ideas. So you probably should apply to be part of the Niti Ayog or, someone on the...
I know. Yeah.
Good.
But early days, so there's a lot more to do. I'm going to be here till March with PGIM and even beyond that, I'd be associated with the team and be watching over them and whatever help I can do. So,
Yeah, for the industry as a whole, you're not walking away like that
not at
with all
not
of
at
that
all.
wisdom.
I need to keep busy.
Yes.
Follow my own talk, walk my own talk. So I'll have many things to do.
Yes, so happy refinement to you.
Thank you.
And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming on this show.
Thank you. My
Ajit.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Thanks so much.